G'day again. Well, here we go. This is basically part 2 of depression, anxiety, and this is my story. As usual, I've looking around the house for different locations to film, so forgive any quality issues. Here we go. With a great deal of trepidation and thought. I guess this is part 2 of depression, anxiety, and my story. Believe me, as I said in part 1 with my tips of some things you could try to deal with it that are extraneous to the norm, nobody, or very, very few people know this story, and I'm certainly not going to share it on social media. May not share it at all, but still at the time of recording I'm still contemplating this. Anyway, look, limiting some personal details and background information. How do I know about anxiety and depression? I guess I was always quite anxious in my life, some people tell me. But I'll start the story back when I was working for the government. Don't know when that was. 2004 this happened. There were a lot of stresses in the home life and work life, and I won't go into the details too much. There was management, there was to a lesser degree, ironically, the client or clients I was working for. I used to look after people with intellectual disabilities, but generally the nasty ones that technically escaped what should be prison. So we had all that. It's quite stressful. Long and the short is, I remember it well, one afternoon, sorry about any shadows, as I said in the last video, I don't, it's a bit hot, isn't it? I don't tend to, let me just stop that and fix it. Hopefully that'll be better. So I'm at work and it was evening, and I just got off a call from a manager. I'd been doing some, well, as well as my regular job, which was residential care officer. I'd also been doing what I've done a fair bit. See, this is what can happen when you get stressed, so I'll just try and relax. I've been doing a bit of what I'd been doing now and then, which was more or less, how do I put it, it was a support officer, so I got to, amongst other things, drive around and check on the various houses, we'll call them, alternate living services and whatnot, where other people had clients that they were looking after, caring for, whatever. And I think you can probably tell by, you know, especially these days, my later YouTube videos, that I put everything I've got into the job, whatever it is. Anyway, so, yep, had a call from her, and she told me that feedback wasn't positive, and that really knocked me for a 6. I'll truncate it a bit. And I guess there was the final straw, because I was just working a bit, like maybe an hour later, and I just realised that I couldn't go on, and I rang a mate of mine, Jack, who was around the other day actually, and yeah, he's an old fella, but he's a wise old bugger. Anyway, I rang him, and all I said to him was, what do you do when you think you're falling down? And his words were, quote unquote, oh shit, I'll be right there. And he was. He didn't live that far away, and he was there. So what happened after that? We sat down and had coffee and a chat, and I guess I saw the end of my shift, I don't know. Anyway, I went home, Next day I went and saw my GP at the time, and I just told him what happened, and he said, you know, look, I can give you a week off. And I said, oh no, that'll be right. I'm supposed to work somewhere different tomorrow night. Sorry if this is overexposed, folks. So yeah, no, it'll be right. And I went down to my car and started the car, and I went to put it in reverse. It was automatic I was using, old Henry, which you'll find on a video too. Not my new Henry too. So I went to put it into reverse, and that was as far as I got. I just couldn't bring myself to go any further, so I sat there for a bit, naturally put it back in park, shut the engine off, and I went back upstairs and saw the doctor. They could tell I needed to see him because, you know, I didn't have a second appointment. So I saw him, and I said, I think you better give me that week. And that was that. The week turned into a lot longer than a week. Let me just truncate this, and once again I've got to say that I may not ever end up putting this on YouTube because very few of even my close friends know the whole story. And yep. So look, my girlfriend and I went away somewhere, I don't know, sometime soon after, to try and just, I don't know, ease my mind maybe. And look, all the way home I started crying, and basically what I recall is maybe could be up to whatever, it's 2004. So basically for the next 2 months, I think it was, I'd just randomly cry. Okay, so fast forward a bit, obviously, we'll forget about the whole work cover episode. That's another story about their paid assassins, specialists that when you have that sort of injury, they like to say, oh, there's nothing wrong with him. Well, fast forward through that, you don't need to know that. So the gamut of things was, I finally was referred to a psychiatrist, having tried psychologists, but I already knew, look, no offence to anyone that may be a psychologist or has a good one, but no, I knew, because we deal with them all the time at work. Found a good one, referred to him, and medication wise we tried everything. I even a while or later, maybe, I don't know, sometime later, tried CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, with a group. And when I did they went for a week, I think, or a bit longer. When I did the survey, at the end of it, I remember I was actually worse off than when I started. So okay, obviously you've got other things like medications. I've tried everything. We tried everything. The only thing that worked for me in the end, that pretty well, yeah, made things a bit easier, was Cymbalta. I'll get back to that in a second. And I know the first thing we tried, whatever the hell it was, it kind of, I always say it's like, felt a bit like I was wrapped in cotton wool, very disconnected from the world. So, I mean, that's not a way to live. I mean, maybe at the time it was okay. It was also a bit dangerous, I think. So, look, long and short is, it ended up being a permanent diagnosis, and I finished that job because of it. So, like I struggled with in the part one, the official diagnosis now is chronic depression, severe anxiety disorder, or something like that. But look, refer to part one of this, the tips on dealing with things. And again, I refer you to what I said in the car in a recent vlog, that I hope you're not getting too much of that noisy truck doing stuff. It is daytime, it's middle of the week here. Try and find a salvation. For me that worked. For many years I didn't have that salvation. So there's your look, long and the short. There's nothing that I'm missing that's crucial to the story. I'm more or less just quantifying my right to make the statements about what can and can't work. I mean, everyone's going to be different, and that's the beauty of the world, everything's different. What I touched on but didn't continue in part one, just thinking about it before I shot this video, pretty well everything that causes depression or anxiety revolves around people. And look, know that it's quite normal if your mum dies, like happened to me 4 to 5 years ago. Of course it's normal to be sad, it's healthy to be sad. It's healthy to cry it out. Sometimes you can't, sometimes I couldn't. A year ago when one of the cats, Suki, died, I bawled for a couple of days. I still get upset about it. But that's normal, it's a different thing. When you're dealing with chronic anxiety and depression. Always, I find in my case anyway, and I can't think of anything else that, as an example, it does involve usually one of two things. Either you're severely unhappy with the way you are as a person, physically or what have you, or, as probably more in my case personally, and I really should have lit this, I'm so sorry about I can see I've got darkness under my eyes. I put too much faith in human beings, people that I think are friends, and you wouldn't believe the amount of so-called friends I've had over the years that you invest time, and I'm a genuine person. Anyone that watches my videos can work that out. What you see is what you get, and I just given myself, as I've always said, I'm the sort of friend that I would like. You know, easygoing, whatever, whole gamut of things. And I will put myself out and help people, you know, sometimes reluctantly, admittedly, but usually I do it. At the end of the day, I do it. And, well, when they just, recent example, and I don't know or care if he's watching this video, a friend that tends to cause me far more stress than he causes me relaxation. Just had 1,000 cups of coffee here, visited me many times. Earlier this week I went to do a paid focus group, which I like doing, and it was in his suburb again, and it's literally a couple of streets away. And I threw it out there, fishing for an invitation for a coffee, which, funnily enough, I wouldn't have gone to because I just prefer to come home. Finished at 7:30 at night. And I got these excuses on the phone, and yeah, at the end of the day, he said you can't just drop in whenever you're in the neighbourhood or whenever you feel like it. Well, that has really cut me. It's been 2 days now, and I'm still hurting from it. Showing you me here, because I'd never be like that. First thing I say to people is, if they visit, so, well, milk and two, or how do you like your coffee? Anyway, I'm babbling on. Everything's wrong about this video. It remains to be seen whether it's wrong that I put it out there. In which case, all I'm doing is burning digits, not film at least, and a bit of battery. Yeah, so that's what I find gets to me is people. And different scenarios as well, but essentially it's all around people. Let me know in your comments how you find things. Do you agree with that? Do you find you have your own demons? I don't class myself as having demons at all. I know there's a saying about the demons in the head. I don't think I have. I really don't think I have any unresolved issues. The way I am, I like to resolve issues. Sometimes to my detriment. But I would rather front the person and say, hey, like, what's going on? Rather than them just disappear or, cut off the friendship or what have you. That's just me. Life is too bloody short. Just move on. And sometimes you never get an answer. That's happened as well. You just never find out. Well, so naturally think, well, what did I do wrong? Did I say something wrong? Or You know, what happened? Sometimes you won't get an answer, and the biggest part of that is learning acceptance. Sometimes you just have to accept it. It's the same with anything in the world, like UFOs, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, any mysteries. Chances are you watching this and me saying it, are never going to find out those sort of things. And maybe no one ever will. So we just have to accept, well, we don't know the answers. Be nice to, often, but we don't. So you have to accept that. We're here for such a finite time, in the grand scheme of things. People that have ever found answers to things are very lucky. I consider myself very fortunate to live in this time, because a lot of things happen and have happened that have changed the world. Once upon a time, a generation, the refrigerator would have changed their world. So you get what I mean. Okay, thanks guys and girls, and please understand this took a lot to tell you about, but that's it in a nutshell. How I stopped the medication, by the way, it's been 6 months. When I was working for the government, we did often do medication reviews once a year for the clients that were on medication. That involved going to the doctor and doing things their way. So often you would find, and I've found this too with other so-called health issues, and I do definitely advocate this. I'm not advocating give up the doctor or anything like that. I'm not saying Western medicine is bad or evil or whatever, the practice of it. Well, sometimes. But just look at my hand here, that's not fixed. Yeah, so we used to taper off the medication. So I was doing that myself, not just with the antidepressants, anti-anxiety things. They never did a lot. Not a lot at all. At the end of the day, it's got to be you that really makes a change somewhere within your soul or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so I tapered it off again this year. When I went back to see the psychiatrist, I only see him a couple of times a year now, just to touch base. And to be honest, not a lot helpful is ever discussed these days, but it did once. So I told him I was down to whatever it was, 1 tablet instead of 2, and he said, well, at that dose, it's not an effective clinical dose. He said, you may as well be taking nothing. And I went, well, how about I try that? He goes, okay. So, yeah, look, I might be a little more at ease if I was taking them now. I don't really think so, and certainly not enough to justify the potential damage that medications can and do have. So look, I'm okay. I'm pretty constantly stressed, especially lately. I suffer from the anxiety a hell of a lot more than depression. Although at the moment, just lately, a couple of days or a week, I've been probably what you'd call depressed. The previous 2 days, I did spend a lot of time just sitting on the couch watching YouTube videos, mostly, which is not like me. But it's okay to take time out if you need it as well. Know that. So know that however you feel, you are not alone. I must close with one thing that happened last week. I saw the announcement of one of my Facebook friends, and look, I've got lots of Facebook friends. I don't know, 1,500 or whatever. The huge bulk of them I have met, but because for a long time now, they're also business contacts. They're not just like when I started Facebook, pretty well people that you know. There are plenty of them on there too. But this was a girl that would have been probably mid-20s. Pretty sure I worked with her on at least 1 or 2. I would imagine it rings a bell at film school, short films. And she took her own life. I'm not close enough to know why, but it wouldn't be a random thing. Whether it was depression, it's probably not anxiety causes you to ever do that. So we'll assume it's depression or something, peer pressure, whatever. Such a waste of a life. I mean, Christ, you know, in your 20s. I'm 53, if you must know. Just recently turned in June, and you know, sometimes I think a bit negative too. Not often. That's why it's taken so long before I got off the medication, because when I tried before, I'd go for a month or whatnot, and I'd find myself in a bit of a dark place, so I put myself back on it. Now I'm holding off. I don't want to rely on it. I'd rather just cope. Yeah, I do pop the odd Valium, which is prescription, and sometimes it chills you out for a little bit, but not long. So there it is, folks. Either like or dislike the video. Move on and see something else. It's not my normal topic. I'm not normally a negative or overly serious person on YouTube, but just telling you how it is. So I'm very grateful for your time, if you're still watching, if you haven't turned skeletal. So I'll let you go and have that coffee now, because I know I'm hanging for one. Alright, cheers everyone, and thanks for listening, and drop me a line down below if you need anything. Okay, see ya.